Hello, welcome everybody. So nice to be here with you, wherever you are. So for our yin practice together tonight, give yourself a little bit of space. Grab whatever kind of pillows and blankets are going to make the experience really nice and supported, and have them handy nearby. We're going to start this evening in a reclined butterfly position. So, hot tip, you might want a pillow underneath your head, like a bed pillow would be really good, so it goes behind your back and maybe behind your head, or any other way that you feel to support yourself. And then as you find a seated position and recline back over whatever props you're using, then you'll also do a little butterfly action with the legs. Soles of the feet together, knees open wide. So go ahead and support your upper body if you like, or you can lie completely flat, and bring the soles of the feet together, knees open wide. You choose what you'd like to do with your arms. They can rest on the body for a sense of connection. You can stretch the arms overhead or out to the sides, whatever you've got space for and whatever feels best for you. Hopefully, I've practiced with most of you together before, but if it's our first time, welcome. My name is Sarah, and we'll take our time, move slowly and gently through 60 minutes of yin together tonight. So go ahead and find that reclined butterfly position and make any adjustments you need to feel really supported. It might be a little readjust through the shoulders or the hips. And then once you've found a place to land, settling in, take a big, long inhale, like you're filling up the whole body with breath. And release a big, long exhale, maybe even a sigh through the mouth to feel like you're letting go. Do that twice more. Spacious inhales, fill up. And releasing exhales. One more. Steady, full inhale breath. And a releasing breath out. And with that, just let yourself feel like you've arrived in your physical experience of the body and the breath. And take a little moment to tune in. Part of the beauty of the yin practice is we slow down and hold poses for a few minutes at a time. And physically, when you hold a pose for a few minutes, the muscles start to relax. And then a deeper stretch into the connective tissue feels like it's rehydrating, repatterning through the body to allow more movement, more freedom, more space. And in essence, this time that we spend here mentally can also give you a little bit more space. Certainly, at some point in the practice, you'll feel a little bit of tension somewhere, like a deep stretch or a pull or some tension that's built up in the body. And while seemingly the goal of mindfulness practices or yin yoga would be to release tension, I invite you tonight to ponder and explore the idea that the practice isn't just about getting rid of something. It's not about getting rid of anything, really. But rather, it's an opportunity to be with whatever arises: joy, pain, tension, stress, happiness, whatever comes up, and to support yourself through anything. So rather than trying to fix or change something, see if tonight you can practice compassion, support, and care. The easiest way I've found to do that in this practice is with the breath. So here, take a few slow, long breaths with the intention or the purpose of compassion. Like you want to be kind to yourself with each breath, inviting in space, ease, support. Take some slow, deep breath. And take your time with each exhale. No rush, no force. An invitation to explore how you can support yourself best. Take just a few more slow breaths here. And really sink in, not like you're pushing tension away, but like you're exploring what it's like to invite in ease and support no matter what. Take one more breath in, just as you are. Open the mouth to exhale. And as you're ready, start to just invite in a little bit of movement, still exploring the depth of the breath. And allow yourself to just reset a little bit here, reawakening. You can reach the arms overhead, you can rock the chin side to side. And slowly and softly, you'll make your way to a kneeling tabletop, like hands and knees position. But there's absolutely no rush. You take your time in this transition and every other one. But once you do arrive in tabletop hands and knees position, just take a few moments, knowing that most of the practice will be holding still, to just move around a little bit. Do whatever feels good to you. You could dip and arch through the spine. You could roll through the hips and the shoulders. Take any movement that feels quite natural and organic for you. Taking just a little time to feel into what's happening here. Move for as long as you like. And then when you're ready, shift into child's pose, butt slides back onto your heels. And we'll take just a little side stretch in our child's pose. Not such a long hold in this one, just a little bit to invite in some space. Walk your hands off to the left, onto the left edge of your mat, or even beyond it. And then let your forehead come back to rest. It could rest on your right shoulder, right upper arm, or maybe on the floor. You can stack your hands one on top of the other. Just find a little bit of sensation down the right side of the waist, right outer hip, right outer arm. And just breathe into this feeling of inviting in space. Inviting in the breath as a support to offer you more space wherever you go. Maybe just 2 or 3 more breaths here. And then as you're ready, lift your forehead. Take your time to walk your hands all the way to the other side, off to the right, to the edge of the mat or beyond. And then as you sink down, forehead can rest on the left upper arm or on the floor. Hands can interlace or just stay pressing. And again, tune into this feeling of finding a little space here through the left side body. And always giving yourself the opportunity to support yourself wherever you go. If you're aiming to support yourself in any given moment, the practice might look like figuring out where you are, active presence, tuning in, and then choosing what's going to support you best here. A little bit of kindness, a little bit of softness, certainly lots of long, deep breaths. Just a few more breaths here. So linger in each exhale breath, softening into it. And feel the spaciousness of each inhale breath. Just one more now. And then as you're ready, forehead lifts, gently come back through center. Maybe stretch the arms out in front just to re-lengthen and neutralize the spine. And then pressing to hands and knees, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. In just a moment, we're going to go for sleeping swan, which is a version of half pigeon pose. So if you know you have sensitive knees, recline onto your back and I'll give you a figure 4 variation instead. But if you're ready, press your hands down, lift your hips up and back, down dog just as a transition. You might kick the right leg out just for a moment. And then looking forward, right shin shimmies up behind your wrists. For most of us, it's going to feel better to support the right hip, a block or a pillow underneath, so that the hips can feel level and flat and one's not tipping too far forward or too far down, and it kind of, makes the lower back feel a bit jacked up. So support yourself as you need. If you've got heaps of space, the right shin shimmying more forward gives a deeper opening in that rotation. And then you can gently extend the spine forward. You might put a pillow underneath your chest. And for those of you with sensitivity in the right knee, apparently you only get one knee on each leg for your lifetime, so take care of it. And instead of laying on your front and putting pressure down, you can lay on your back, so there's no pressure going down on the knee. Right ankle comes onto the left thigh, and then you can stay or intertwine the hands. So either version of half pigeon sleeping swan. And wherever you go, take a little moment to tune in. Now, unless you're a ballerina or maybe a gymnast of some sort, probably at some point in pigeon pose, sleeping swan, figure 4, you've got a bit of tension somewhere, like a feeling of a stretch. And see if you can explore this idea that it's not about forcing the tension to go away, but about inviting in support so that the experience wherever you are gets a little bit more relaxed. It might feel like you're not pushing, but rather softening. And in this practice, it's such a gift that you give yourself to be here, especially in moments of difficulty or tension, to practice how you're compassionate towards yourself, how you support yourself in moments of challenge. So see what it's like to relax into a few deep breaths, to unhinge your jaw, to relax a little around the hips. That feeling of harmony can't possibly come through force or pressure. See if you can invite in ease, softness, breath, and be interested in if a little bit more of a harmonious feeling might arise now or later. Less than a minute left here, so maybe just 4 or 5 more slow breaths. Can you make those breaths really spacious, satisfying? And each exhale really gentle and releasing. Last slow breath in. Stay for a full exhale to empty out gently. And if you're on your back, we're going to the other side so you can stay there. You might just kick the legs out. If you're on your front in sleeping swan, anything that you'd like to release, you can knees or down dog, stretch it out, move around. After every yin pose, you can feel like you're resetting, releasing. So move around as much as you like. And then find a place to pause. You could lay on your belly or on your back. If you're on your back, you could set the feet on the floor, knock the knees together. You can come to a seat. Just find somewhere where you can pause. And linger in that momentary softness, stillness. Each moment that you choose to relax, to take a step back and slow down, it's like you're refilling that inner reservoir of strength and support, compassion. So take a few deep breaths in this restful space. Refill from within. Take just another breath or two here. And then really sincerely take your time to find your way into the second side. So if you're taking the sleeping swan variation, you'll come to hands and knees. Then with care, lifting up, maybe coming from down dog. So you can extend the left leg for a moment and then bring your left shin forward. Once again, give yourself the opportunity to keep the hips relatively square to protect the lower back and the hip girdle. You could put a block or a bolster or a pillow or a blanket under your left hip. And then extending the spine forward for length and softening into that space. Alternatively, on your back. Left ankle, right thigh, figure 4. Get nice and comfy in your shape. And if the comfort isn't there physically. Like if you're feeling tense physically, find a little comfort in the support of your breath. The things like the techniques or philosophies that we practice in a yoga class are meant to be helpful in the poses themselves. So like you're feeling a lot of intensity in the hips. How can you still find a little bit of ease? How can you relax a little, even in a moment of tension? And those practices aim to translate into our daily life. So I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes there's this idea that I could fix all of my problems externally, like whatever challenges I like, fix them. And then everything's peaceful and harmonious and beautiful, and then I can rest in that relaxed space. But in case you've tried to do that same thing, at some point I feel like it's like that whack-a-mole game. You guys have whack-a-mole in Australia? It's like a arcade game where you've got a mallet and you keep hitting the moles. It actually sounds really violent now that I think about it. But in this whack-a-mole game, in level 1, super easy. Like one little thing pops up at a time, you knock it out, boom. Next one, a few seconds later, pops up, you knock it out. But like level 10 or something, it's like they're just like popping up everywhere. Issues popping up everywhere. Things popping up everywhere that you've got to deal with. And when life feels like that, which is sometimes, how could you possibly solve all the problems? And if that's your only way to find harmony and ease, it's a losing game. So rather than try to whack all the moles, rather than try to fix all the problems, rather than push against tension, explore what it's like to soften and support yourself amongst those moments of stress. So rather than push into where you're feeling the stretch in this pose, into it. Breathe into it. Be compassionate to that part of your body for whatever it's been through that's caused that little bit of tension. So that somehow you're strengthening this ability to find support and harmony no matter what arises. Less than a minute to go, so see if you can just breathe deeply and practice softening amidst the tension. Take one more really slow, expansive inhale. And take your time emptying the exhale all the way gently to the bottom. And then again, move any way that suits you. Stretch, release, wriggle around. And after you've moved for as long as feels appropriate for you, let yourself soften into somewhere to become still. Whether it's on your front, on your back, in a seat, doesn't matter. Find somewhere that feels like ease and settle into it. Take one more slow breath. Feel it empty out. And then as you're ready, find your way to a seated position. No rush. Still lots of deep connected breaths as you transition. And when you find a seat, come to a straddle position. Now stick with me here. We're going to do a couple different shapes in this position for different durations of hold. And if you've got a big old book or a block or a pillow, you might chuck it underneath your sit bones. And then you might want another one for the forward fold and the side bends. So prop yourself up, pillow yourself up, support yourself creatively. And if you have sensitivity at the back of the knees, chuck a little rolled up towel or blanket underneath so you don't overstretch the back there. We're going to start with a side bend to either side, just gently, and then into a forward fold. If it feels too much, you can bend the leg that you're not leaning towards, just FYI. Let's go to the right side first. So you might just put your right hand next to your right hip, lift your left hand up and over and take it like that. You could also put your right elbow on your right thigh and reach over towards your your right foot with your left hand. Or you might bring your left hand down to your left thigh and just focus on the leaning sensation over to the side. So whatever feels most appropriate for you. If you're one of those prima ballerinas, you could tuck your right shoulder inside your right knee and reach your hand over to the left. But just find something that feels like a gentle side stretch. Not a push or a hyperextension or like a real big effort of reach, just a softening. Make a special note to soften your left shoulder back and down. You might even turn your gaze down. And see about finding a little bit of softness through the left side of the waist. A little bit of softness through both hips. A little bit of softness through your left fingertips. One more breath. With care, lift through center. Oh, did you feel that? Oh, I did. And then take it to the other side. So whatever you did on the first side, you might mimic it. Or you could adjust to what's appropriate here. Left hand next to left hip, right arm reaching or coming down. Left elbow to thigh as an option. Right hand can reach up and over, but if it feels yuck on your shoulder, just leave it out. You could even place your right hand behind your head. And of course, if you can not feel anything and you need heaps more to get a little bit of action, you can place your left shoulder down inside the left thigh, reaching over to the right. But wherever you're going with your arms, soften through the side of the waist. Relax the shoulders. Notice how you can invite in a sense of ease when you stay to notice where you're at and choose to practice compassion and support. One more breath. And then up through center. Delicious. Now as you fold forward, if you haven't already, chucking a pillow underneath the hips might be really useful. And keep in mind that the aim isn't to take your feet as wide as you possibly can. Maybe even pull it back in a little. Knowing that the yin practice is about less force, more creating space. You can take a pillow and just kind of cuddle it and lean forward. You could take some sort of block, pillow, blanket, fort situation and support yourself as you lean forward. And make a special note to lift out of the lower back a little as you bow forward any amount. The interesting thing that I've learned in my practice is that a lot of times I look outside of myself for answers. Like I look to the yoga teacher to tell me the right way to do a pose, or a textbook, or another student who I think knows best. But the only person who's ever lived in my body is me. The only person who knows what each sensation feels like is, of course, me. So over time, I've realized that I'm the best support that I've got. Like for yourself here in this pose, if something would feel better to offer you more support, more space, more compassion, more ease, the person who knows best what to do is you. So spend a little time with yourself here. And be curious of how you can invite in ease, space, compassion, support, whatever it is that you need. Just 2 or 3 more breaths here. Take one more breath. And then really delicately lift yourself out of the shape. Coming up and out. Oh, felt good. When you're ready, move around as much as you need. And eventually we're all going to be lying on our backs, but take some time to wriggle and stretch and do what you need to do. Move around a little. And then for our rebound, we'll just recline onto the back. Especially after a forward fold, it might feel a bit sticky on the lower back to extend the legs. So if it feels like that for you, bend the knees, soles of the feet ground. You can even knock the knees together. And just take a little tick there, just a moment to rest. If you're not already there, please recline onto your back. You'll find a supported bridge variation of some sort. So reclining, bend your knees, place the soles of the feet down on the ground. And then you'll need some sort of prop. Your library of encyclopedias, your bedroom pillows, your blankets, I don't know, whatever you like. But lift your hips up and tuck whatever props you've got handy just underneath your hips. And if you've got a plethora of options, go ahead and adjust, readjust, figure it out until you find one that feels like it opens up the front of the hips. Feet can stay planted, knees can knock in, or you could gently start to walk the feet away from you if it doesn't compress the lower back to invite more openness across the front of the hips. Hands by your sides, out or overhead. You do you. And as you find some space across the front of your hips, find a little space to tune in once more. So if we go back to this idea that life's like a little whack-a-mole arcade game, and these little things pop up that need to be dealt with, it's not even that you stop playing the game altogether and give up and quit and just go be relaxed on a tropical destination somewhere. It's your approach that changes when you tune in and decide to move with more compassion and ease and practice being okay with whatever arises. So you can play the game, this little whack-a-mole, that things are popping up and you're just taking care of what you can. Some you miss, some you get, fine. Your attitude stays neutral, attentive, but relaxed. And then as it keeps coming faster and faster, you don't have that heart palpitation, stress out moment of like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. You just do what you can. Be kind and compassionate to yourself in the process. And the whole game, the whole of life, the whole experience just feels better. Because life inevitably will have challenges. So rather than just figuring out how to fix them or abandoning it completely, if you could master the art of supporting yourself and being kind to yourself no matter what a joy all of the moments of life could be. So practice here, supporting yourself with your breath, relaxing into this feeling of slow, steady breaths supporting you. Just another few breaths here. And then as you're ready, if your legs are straight, really take your time, like one little footprint at a time. 3, bend the knees so that the soles of the feet ground. And once you let the soles of the feet ground, take a little moment to feel your feet on the earth, to ground into that feeling. And then as you push your feet down to lift your hips up, gently release whatever is underneath your hips, whatever prop you got going on there. And then just do anything that feels good, a little wriggle or a stretch. We'll move into our twist as our rebound. So when you're ready, open your arms wide to a T in line with your shoulders, bring your knees together, and drop the knees off to the left. You might shimmy the hips a little to the right to make space, and as the knees drop left, any variation with the arms, the legs, cross, intertwine, something extended or not. And take a moment to choose the best variation for your neck. Looking up might feel kind of nice and neutral. Looking to the right could deepen the twist, or to the left could open the shoulder a little bit more. So do what suits you in your twist. And find a moment to pause there. Yogi, central tenet or philosophy called santosha or contentment. And for me, that idea, the concept of being content, no matter what arises, content with your life, content with a moment, is this same feeling as being relaxed, being at ease. It's the opposite of tension and stress. But this Sanskrit word santosha, its root is actually 2 different words, sam and tosha, which direct translation is complete acceptance. So the way to feel content, relaxed, at ease and peace is a practice of complete acceptance. You might think of any yoga pose, one that we've done tonight, or maybe your quote unquote least favorite, somewhere you feel tense or aggravated or frustrated. And imagine that you could be completely accepting of how your body is in that pose. Would that shift your attitude towards it? Would that shift your experience of it if you were completely accepting? Or if there's some situation that arises in your life, in your day, in your work, in your family life, in your whatever life. If something arises and experience a situation that causes you tension, what might it be like to try to practice supporting yourself in that moment so that you can accept whatever arises? One more breath. Take your time to delicately switch your twist to the other side. So as you lift your knees through center, you might shimmy the hips a little left, rock the knees to the right. Your choice arms in the direction of the gaze. This practice of complete acceptance is so multifaceted that every little ounce of this practice that we can move towards or use reaps us the rewards of finding little droplets of contentment. You might even think of practicing complete acceptance towards not only external circumstances, but your reactions to them. So when something's frustrating you, accepting that situation as it is can give you a little bit of peace, but also accepting that you're having a reaction to it, allowing acceptance of that reaction could give you a greater, deeper sense of peace and ease. The practice of acceptance and compassion and supporting yourself no matter what is never ending, but so worth it. So spend these few moments here practicing support, compassion through deep breath, being here with yourself no matter what arises, and offering a sense of acceptance towards yourself especially. Last breath. As you come back through center, unwinding your twist. If you'd like to do a little shake or wriggle or something, feel free. And then we're going to move into our final shape on either side, banana asana, banana pose. It's a really lovely stretch for the side waist where you make your whole body look like a banana. So when you're ready, start by shifting the hips a little off to the left, just like you did with your twist. And as your hips shift left, make sure you keep your lower back planted on the floor, the hips square. That doesn't change. You're not going to twist with this one. And as you extend your feet out, take your feet over to the right side of the mat. So you're creating a little side bend here. You could hook your left ankle over your right ankle. That should intensify the feeling perhaps down the left side of the waist. But if your left hip picks up, drop it back down, both butt cheeks on the ground. Then as you extend your arms up overhead, take your arms and hands also over to the right. So if you're standing up, it'd be like a little side arch, like this. Ooh. Hands and heels can hook. And let your whole left side waist open. Left outer hip, left outer arm. Spread the breath through that space. Like the breath itself could stretch down the side body. The yin poses that we practice take time. But that time and patience invites a feeling of freedom to the body. More ease of movement through your day-to-day life. And in that very same way, the practice of acceptance, compassion, and support takes time. And as you invest your time into those practices, it invites in more freedom, more ease as you move through your day. Whenever you feel stuck or tense or stressed or overwhelmed, invite in these liberating practices to support yourself no matter what, to accept yourself no matter what, to do it all with lots of breath and lots of compassion. Just one more breath here. And then really gently take your time to bring your hands back down by your sides, to bend your knees back in towards you, just enough that you can shimmy your hips over to the right, keeping the lower back on the floor. Extend the legs once more, but this time feet to the left. And then you reach your arms up overhead, but hands to the left. And find yourself in a opposite stretch banana pose. Right side, body extending. And back into the practice of taking your time to be here as you are. With full support of acceptance and compassion from yourself and heaps of breath. Last breath. And as you unwind back through center, if you need to stretch or wriggle or reset before Shavasana, feel free. Blanket or pillow under the knees can feel really lovely support as you rest. And if you're in Melbourne with us, a blanket or repositioning your body directly under your heat vent might be a good idea. It's not even winter yet. All right, go ahead and find a nice relaxed position to enter into for just a few minutes of really intentional rest. So let yourself stretch out long, settle in. I'll let you know in about 3 minutes or so when it's time to finish up. But give yourself this full few minutes here to soften. Embody all of the philosophies that you've been practicing. Compassion, ease, peace, from total acceptance of yourself in this moment, and rest in that space. If you have more time, please stay and rest longer. But if you're ready, start to take some full deep breaths and invite in movement when you're ready. Still with that same thought and care, mindfully reawakening. And after a little wriggle, stretch, eventually make your way to a seated position, but there's no rush. Take your time. Once you find a seat, bring your hands together in front of your heart, an offering of connection to that space within each of us that is very much the same. Thank you so much, every single one of you, for joining me from this my space to yours, and this sense of energetic connection that we share. I know that that place of connection and peace and acceptance within me is that same exact space in every single one of you. And in this space, there's no difference or distance between any of us. So to acknowledge that connection that we all share, we say to each other, Namaste. Thank you, yogis. Have a beautiful Saturday night and a wonderful week. If you haven't already, you can pop over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/HerYoga, and see all of the classes that we have on offer. And if you haven't already, give us a little subscribe on our YouTube so you can get access to all of our free content. Thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.